Hello YouTube, Adventures in Metals here. I came across this Silver the Loser Metal video yesterday by Cowboy Gold, and it's mostly just troll bait, and he even brags about how he caught a troll in another video that I just watched. But he does make a few good points that I did want to respond to, so I'm going to do that here rather than respond to him directly anymore, because I'm not interested in feeding the trolls. But one thing I did want to point out is how when I first watched the video, I put this comment here. I said, "You've definitely made some valid points, but the question I have after watching this video is the price of silver artificially too high or too low right now?" And his response was, "The problem is that no one knows. The only thing we do know is that silver is positioned to make the bullion companies a profit at all costs. The consumer loses the majority of the time, and just remember that." And right here he has somebody else said, "I'd say for certain it's artificially too high. The silver sling blade, the true value is closer to $8. And Cowboy Gold loved that comment. I don't know, he loves a lot of comments, so I don't know if that's a true indicator of his actual views, but I'm just going to watch the video and respond to it as I go.
I need to ask a few questions. I keep hearing from these big channels that there is a humongous demand for physical silver right now.
I don't know if he's in a huge room or he's adding reverb to his voice, but it's a little distracting, by the way. Anyway.
And I thought to myself, if that's the case, let me go and see what these big bullion companies are willing to pay me to get some of my physical silver into their hands so that they could, meet orders, and help get people their silver that they're so in demand for. So I went to a few sites and I looked at American Silver Eagles, and most places I went to, they're wanting around $22 an ounce for American Silver Eagles. And I looked at their buyback price, and one place offered $13 buyback, one place offered $14. It's between $13 and $14 is what they're willing to pay you back for them. The channel that's selling American Silver Eagles right now for $22 is offering a $14 buyback. That's an $8 difference. An $8 difference. So basically, they're looking at spot price and paying me roughly about $1.40 over current spot price of around $12 and whatever amount of cents it is. So if there's such a great demand and you've got so many people that want my American Silver Eagles, why are you paying me such a crappy buyback price of $14? $14 for my American Silver Eagles while you turn around and sell them to your customers for $22, huh?
Okay, this is the part of the video where I actually agree to some extent. I think he's mostly right about that, but I want you to keep that in mind as the rest of the video plays, because it's going to come in important in some of the other stuff he says, so just keep listening.
That's an $8 difference there. No, I'm not buying that mess.
I think I could say here that yes, there are people talking, there are some big silver channels talking about the huge demand. As far as I know, none of them are playing up the shortages. They understand that any kind of like shortage in the physical silver is kind of overplayed from what I've observed myself. So he's making a big, pretty wide net accusation there, and I don't think that's completely fair. Okay, so keep going.
If it was such a great demand and you want to stay in business, would you offer a man a little bit better price than that, a bit fairer price than that? Say maybe $18? You're still making $4 per coin selling at 22. To me, that would be fair, right? Selling for 18. But hell no, they're going to give you $1 and some change over spot price for them. So I'm not really seeing that there is a great demand for silver. Just look at what they're actually doing, not what they're saying. What the person is actually doing is what's going on.
You hear that? Hear what he just said? What the person is actually doing is what is really going on. And that's very important for what he's going to say coming up.
If they're selling an item for $22 and they're willing to buy your item back from you for $14.
Whoa, dude. Whoa. Calm down there. Whoa. There's no need to get angry.
That tells me right there is no demand for it. There is no damn demand for it. Matter of fact,
what are you so angry about? Oh, we'll figure that out. We'll watch the video a little longer.
$14, I think that to themselves they're thinking, we're taking a risk buying it back at $14 because the price could drop to $8 an ounce.
That is correct. Yes, I agree with that.
For silver. That's what it tells me. But the one thing that we do know is we got 5 God-given senses to observe what's actually going on in the markets. What I see is that there really is no physical demand. It just makes more sense there.
What he meant to say was there's no huge demand for holding physical silver right now. And that the silver channels are overplaying it, and I think that can be a fair statement depending on who you're listening to, but I think he's overplaying his hand on that point.
The bullion companies saw the spot price drop down to where it's at today. They looked at their inventory and said that there's no possible way we can sell our inventory and even break even. We're going to lose a lot of money right now. Let's shut down shop and let's lie to our customers and tell them that we are out of silver, that we do not have any more because of supply and demand. There was a great demand on the physical, and they ransacked our inventory and bought us all out within 24 hours, completely gone. And then they can use that same lie to jack the prices up of what they are willing to sell, which is their American Silver Eagles, and they can jack that price up and claim supply and demand and complain there's a humongous demand on the market. They've done this before.
Okay, that's a huge accusation. And when you have, okay, he said, look at what the person does, not what they say. The actions will tell you exactly what's going on, which is a fair statement. But when you have any kind of set of data, there are multiple ways of interpreting it. And if you're going to make an accusation of this scale, it must be the only possible interpretation. And that goes back to what he said in response to my comment, where he said nobody really knows. And if he really wants to make these accusations and say he doesn't know which way the prices of silver is being manipulated, I think he pretty much has to be able to say that it's artificially too high right now. Otherwise, he's being dishonest. Now, as far as his accusations, is it really true that that is the only interpretation of what's going on? I don't believe so. I don't know what the answer is. The shortage answer does seem a little suspect to me, and that's why. But saying taking from that the only explanation is that kind of shady, almost fraudulent behavior on the part of the bullion dealers is pretty much a troll move as far as I'm concerned. I mean, obviously the big silver channels, they deal with their bullion dealers, and they're going to be reluctant to make any kind of accusations like that. And well, he's gonna make some accusations, so I'll wait to hear it from his mouth.
They did it back in 2013 and in other times. So we know that this is what they do. They have their talking points and the propaganda in place for any occasion. Now, so really, if you think about it, our eyes are being opened. We're able to see more clear that the silver market is one humongous cog gang, not just on the paper end of it, but in the physical too, because the bullion companies are just as bad as, say, J.P. Morgan's are. They are price manipulating too in the physical world. These bullion companies are lying to you, and they never lose money. Only the buyer of their precious metals loses money.
Okay, if that's the case, wouldn't they want as many people as possible into the physical silver bullion market? If it's such a cash cow, if it's a no-lose situation, except for oddities like what's happening right now, why shut down? Why not pay more if they can make more money? I mean, yeah, the price might go down even more. But if in the end they're gonna be the winner no matter what, then this little blip shouldn't really matter to them. And that undercuts the main point of your video.
They never are at risk because they have their ways to avoid taking loss. You know, so the tables are in their favor. You're playing against the house.
Again, if we're playing against the house, why shut down the game right now? If they're gonna win no matter what, you know what I mean? See where I'm going with this?
The house never loses.
Except they're losing right now because they're not getting more people into the market for physical bullion silver.
Only you, my friends, are the losers. That's the reason why silver is a loser's metal. It's because of the way it's set up, the way the system is set up for silver. You go in a loser, so you can't expect to win in it. Premiums make silver a loser.
The premiums make silver a loser. Well, that's pretty interesting. The fact is the physical market for bullion silver is so small that that's simply how the game has to work in order for anybody to get into the market for it. That's just how it is. Characterizing it as just some big casino is completely unfair. I mean, you can't say that people are buying on eBay. You saw it yourself. Silver Eagles are going for over $20. You can't say that and say there is no demand. There is some. It's small. It's smaller than some people are making it out to be. But to say that demand hasn't gone up in the physical market is completely ludicrous.
No matter how low spot price goes, there's only so far down it can get before you're going to pay a high premium, and I don't care.
Again, that's just how the physical market has to work for anybody to make any money to bring physical silver to the market. That's just how it has to go. It is unfortunate, but that's just because the market is so small compared to the paper market. Characterizing it as just one big conspiracy to defraud people who get into it is way, way out of line. And he offers absolutely no evidence except the fact that the bullion dealers are paying closer to spot than they're getting for physical silver right now.
When it happens, every time it happens, you're going to be in the same damn boat. They are never going to ever give you anywhere close to spot price when it's around $12 or less. You're just not going to get it. And I don't care if there was a coronavirus or whatever, it doesn't matter. And that's just the way it is. You're never going to ever get close to spot when the spot market drops, when the spot price drops like it has. It's never going to happen. Never. So we've learned that. We've learned now that it doesn't matter if spot price gets low. There is never going to be any deals when there's a low spot price. You're just going to pay a higher premium, which makes silver a loser. It's that damn premium. We're always back to what makes silver a loser. Premiums.
Again, that's just the nature of the physical silver bullion market.
Better off buying $1,200 gold. At least now you'd still be protected. You know, my gold is still making me money.
Right now. But I'm looking at the gold-silver ratio at almost 120. Is he saying that 120 to 1 is the new normal? That's never going to correct. He's talking in terms of right now.
Protecting my wealth. However,
Again, you know, you're going to accuse all the big silver channels, and the biggest ones are very, very fair about, you know, the ones that get the most views are very, very realistic about the short-term and long-term viability of silver. If you actually watch them, which it seems like he doesn't, he's just trolling. I mean, I, for one, plan on converting my silver to gold when the ratio corrects to something. Maybe there is a new normal for the gold-silver ratio, but it's not 100. Maybe it's 80, which is a huge correction from where it is now. So at that point, it'd be a good idea to switch from silver to gold. And to suggest that the big silver channels aren't aware of that, I learned that from some of the bigger silver channels, even Mike Maloney, for crying out loud. It's like, yeah, anyway, let's just continue.
Another ounce again because unless it gets back down $1,200, I won't ever buy again. And I'm okay with that. I don't need gold and silver to be happy and survive this world. No one does. You do not need silver or gold to survive a pandemic or the ill world or a zombie apocalypse or any of that bullshit. You just don't need it.
I get where he's going here. It's the whole power fantasy of the shit hits the fan scenarios, and I got silver. I'm guilty of it, but investing in anything and getting it on the ground floor is that's a power fantasy in any market. So I don't think it's fair to single out the silver bugs on that account.
Matter of fact, I don't think my mom has ever had any silver her entire life.
Okay. This guy sounds like he's at least my age. I find it very difficult to believe that his mother never had any pre-64 silver coins ever. That used to be money. So he's being completely historically inaccurate with that statement.
I don't know any of my family that has. And they did just fine. Made it just fine. So you don't need silver at all, really. You can survive without it. You know, a shotgun, a rifle, and a full drive. This old country boy can't survive, you know. So, don't listen to the big channels. They are just trying to make you feel better about being so upside down in your silver portfolio right now. They have to try to work for the bullion companies to settle all the cattle back down a little bit, pat you on the back, rub your back a little bit, make you feel pretty good. So that you
Okay. So the big silver channels who work with dealers buying silver, are reticent to accuse the big bullion dealers of fraud, basically, is not the same thing as some grand conspiracy to keep everybody in silver. Again, that just goes back to, if this is such a huge cash cow that the bullion dealers can never lose, then why shut down now?
Still love silver enough to go out and buy some more of it when the market corrects itself.
Corrects itself to where? Is it artificially too high or artificially too low? If it's artificially too high right now, wouldn't they still be selling? Wouldn't they be getting more for your physical silver bullion to buy, meet demand, and getting more people in?
You know, let me tell you something. All this happening silver is really waking people up. People start to realize they've been lied to on such a grand scale about silver and what it's actually going to do for you.
To what end? To what end have they been lied to? If you want to say silver is too high right now, to what end? If you want to make these accusations, you have to be able to answer that question. And you can't even answer if the price of physical silver is too high or too low right now.
Ain't gonna do jack shit for you, is it? Sure ain't. You're losing money right now. Go do a dry run on the silver at any place. Even online. Try to sell it online to one of these big time bullion companies.
I may be underwater in my silver investments right now. But that's assuming that the price of silver right now is artificially high. And that has to be his claim.
See what they give you for it. Don't actually sell it to them. Just as an eye opener, go and see what they'll give you for it. You're gonna be quite surprised. There ain't no silver shortage. Because if they were, they'd be giving you a better price for your silver. They'd be giving you a buyback price.
Again, if they always win, they would also be giving me a better price for my physical silver. You see, you can't have both ways.
That's what. There ain't no demand for it right now. Sure ain't nobody buying it. The price too high. The premiums are way too high. They got a whole damn business full of it. They just lying to you and telling you they don't. That's how.
Again, that's not the only explanation for what's going on.
How the game works. You're starting to figure it out, aren't you? The smart people figured it out. You know, it's only these zombies out here that can't figure this shit out. What's going on? But anyway, this old corn, and I'll holler at you later.
Anyway, I think I've addressed most of his weaker points, so I'll just end the video here. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.